In this video, we're going to try to develop some really basic understandings that are going to carry you all the way through algebra. And it's just getting started in algebra, but I think it's really important as we start seeing letters appear where we used to always do numbers in math, that we really appreciate why it works and what people are trying to do, and just give you the confidence to keep slugging away, because it can get challenging at times. So the video in this one, the objectives in this one, to understand variables as representing an unknown number. And that's an easy thing to say, but I think that sometimes it gets lost in the applications. Second, to understand that a variable expression describes operations performed to an unknown number. So maybe some people can get comfortable with the idea, well, okay, X just stands for some number. I'm throwing it out there. I don't know what X is, so I'll say some number X. But then when it starts getting added layers on it, it gets unnerving. But it just means that if we don't know the number we're starting with, then we can't possibly know the number that we're ending with. But if we know what operations we're doing, we can express that. And then the third is to understand there's an agreed upon order of operations that needs to be considered when writing variable expressions or using them. And you probably have some experience with this already, but it's worth mentioning. So we're going to start off with a real simple idea. We're going to introduce you to someone named Taylor, and Taylor's 14 years old. And if we knew Taylor was 14 years old, that's not an unknown. So we're in the world of arithmetic at this point. We don't need variables. Taylor's 14, fine. Okay, let's hear more about her story. She's a little jealous of her brother, Declan, because Declan's 2 years older, and maybe some more freedoms and stuff like that. So again, not much of an unknown there. If we know that Taylor is 14 and we know Declan is 2 years older, then we could kind of put the pieces together there, and we could add 14 to 2 to 14, and we would have Declan's age of 16. Again, no mystery. But if we continue, so we're still doing arithmetic. If we continue that, and we find out they spent a lot of time at Aunt Rhea's, and she's twice as old as Declan is, still don't feel much of an unknown. We know who else we're talking about. We know how we're going to calculate her age from Declan's age. We would multiply by 2 or double it, and we would have 32. So this is all the world of arithmetic. You calculate, and you sometimes evaluate. If we wrote out a long expression taking us from 14 to 32, we would evaluate. So what's the deal with algebra then? Well, let's get to our objectives. To understand variables as representing an unknown number. Well, here what we have is that Taylor is a 9th grader. Now, I know a lot of 9th graders, and their ages vary. I've met them young as 13, as old as 15. So we don't know Taylor's age at this point. We just know she's a 9th grader. So what that leads to is we don't know Taylor's age. And if we don't know Taylor's age, then we don't know what Declan's age is. And we don't know Declan's, we don't know what Rhea is. So all these things are unknown just on the basis of Taylor's unknown age. So arithmetic is out, and what's in place is the use of a variable. So someone who becomes good at algebra could say, well, let's just say we want to think about Declan or represent Declan's age or Rhea's age, even though we don't know Taylor's age. We can't do that 16 and 32 thing. What could we do instead? Well, we would start with the idea in algebra that we could express Taylor's age as simply t. And then we could think about the operations that are being performed to her age. First, that Declan is 2 years older, and we could start to use a variable expression, because a variable expression describes operations that we know that are performed on an unknown number. So how could we express that we have unknown Taylor and we are adding 2 to unknown Taylor? Well, we could say this, t plus 2. And back when we knew Taylor's age was 14, this didn't make any sense to do this. But if we don't know Taylor's age and we want to continue thinking about the rest of the family here, we would say t plus 2. And then it continues, because now Aunt Rhea, if we know what Declan's age is, well, sort of, at least have it expressed, and we know that Aunt Rhea is twice as old as Declan, then what we would want to tell everyone is we're going to take t plus 2, which is Declan's age, and we're going to double it. Now at that point, you've got add 2 and multiply by 2. And we know that as we walk through the arithmetic, it made sense to add 2 and then multiply that 16 by 2. Well, there's an order of operations when you write a variable expression or when you use one that's understood. So understanding this agreed upon order of operations, which a lot of people describe as PEMDAS, and I'll do that in future videos, is going to force us to do this. When we're going to multiply Declan's age by 2, we would write it like this. And what you can start seeing is that kind of variable expressions build. They build from the inside out. So t was the beginning, and then we added this layer on of plus 2, and then the order of operations is, okay, well, once you have that, let's add on this next outer layer. And over your career in algebra, if you get used to kind of thinking of variable expressions as having build from the inside out, I think you're going to find a lot of success. It's going to help you stay organized. Okay, so we've now used algebra to express, and that never feels like a really impressive thing to someone who's learning algebra for the first time. So let's try to show some of the power of what an expression is. We're going to throw an extra objective in here. It's to understand that algebraic expressions, as bizarre as 2 parentheses t plus 2 parentheses is, who could appreciate that? Well, those algebraic expressions, it's a representation of some quantity, in this case re is age, that could be determined, the value of that thing could be determined once we know the values of the variables in it, in this case t. So look at our expression, our story. Taylor's 2 years old. Okay, what do we got? We've gotten to the point where we agree that Ria's age can be expressed as that. What have we got new information that Taylor's 14? Now you might recognize that as not so new, but to the person who's working in what's on your screen now, that's new information. And that person could say, well, I took the time and effort to express Ria's age. So if I was ever given Taylor's age, I would know exactly what to do with it. Because now they could evaluate Ria's age given t equals 14. So expressing is when you're writing something with variables, and evaluating is when you're taking that variable expression and you end up getting a number answer for it. Why? Because they gave you all the information you needed to Taylor's age. So let's see how it plays out. Well, the first thing you do is you substitute. That's a really important idea. If you know that in this case t is 14, well then go ahead and rewrite the exact same expression as we knew for Ria's age and just simply replace the 14 where the t is. If we've all agreed that this is a good expression for Ria's age, then we've got to agree that this is a good expression for Ria's age if it turns out Taylor is indeed 14. Now it becomes an order of operations thing. Inside the parentheses, we built a layer onto Taylor's age. We added the 2, and then now only then could we double and we could get 32. So I don't know if you remember from earlier in the video, but when we had Taylor's age and we built directly from there and we went step by step, we were real confident that Ria was 32. And even if we didn't know that at the time and we were good at writing variable expressions, and then down the pike someone gave you the information t equals 14, you could evaluate Ria's age also. So those are some important skills and some important ideas. And this video, like every other one that I do, it's trying to kind of make things make sense. Have you build confidence with whoever is handing you this knowledge and trying to teach you this algebra. They know what they're doing. They know it's valuable. They know it's useful. But you're just at this stage in your careers where you're just going to be able to you got to take it slowly. Things are going to look strange at once, but there's always reasons. And if you don't know the reason, make sure you ask whoever's working with you.